Hey there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Code channel, and today we have a preview of AVGhost Paranormal Investigation. Hey there gamers, it's Professor Meg here, and welcome back to the Board Game Code channel. Today we have a preview of AVGhost Paranormal Investigation. Thank you to the publisher for sponsoring this video. You can check out the link down below because this is an active crowdfunding campaign, and as you've probably already guessed from the beginning of this video, this game is quite different because, well, you're going to be playing a lot of it in the dark. Now you are going to have the different flashlights on the investigators, so you're not playing completely in the dark, but you are playing with a huge element of surprise with what you're really getting into. In AVGhost, you're going to be playing as a team of paranormal investigators. So you're playing cooperatively for 1 to 4 players, where you're taking the role of these different investigators, and they collect these different pieces of ghostly phenomena through different things like recording devices. So all of them are very unique in how they behave and the different things that they're trying to do, but you're going to use your different tools, put those out, and set them out during the meeting phase, which is when you're going to assess the different ghosts that you are encountering, and you're going to gather as many clues as possible, because then once you start the actual investigation, the lights are off, it's a lot spookier, and then you're going to be using everything you can to not only uncover the truth and find all of the things that are happening with the ghosts, you'll go through your own investigation lines, and you'll also have to go through all these different paranormal events, but you're also going to have to survive and not get too scared, not go into shock, and make sure that everyone can make it out through this. Now, one thing to note, as this is a scenario-based game where you will be doing different investigations, I'm not going to go over many specifics at all for this particular scenario, but slight spoiler warning that this is the first scenario that you would be playing. So when players choose the scenario that they're going to play with, you're going to find your case file envelope. As you can see, there are a ton here that you can play with, and you're going to use this to guide the beginning of the investigation. Now, the rulebook tells you which tiles to place out, and then you're going to use this to start off the beginning phase of the game, where you're choosing what tools to set out within the different areas to hopefully collect some ghosts. So in this stack of things that came out of that envelope, there are some things that are going to give you some really good clues, but there's also this page where it's going to set you off with why you are investigating this particular space. So for example, for case 1, this is client James Ainsworth, Cayuga Lake, New York State, April 23rd, 1972. Mr. Ainsworth contacted the agency on April 23rd, 1972 at 9:30 in the morning. The client seems agitated at the time of contact. He claims to have experienced paranormal activity, such as moving objects, strange presences, voices late at night, etc. At first glance, it seems like standard poltergeist activity. So that's the beginning of the scenario, but obviously more will happen from there, and if you're very interested, there will actually be a gameplay on the channel, so you'll be able to find out a little bit more if you'd like to know, so be sure to keep your eye out for that. But this thing will give you different ideas of why you have the things that are in this envelope. So for example, they charted out why they found certain things for you. For example, I met with the team at the agency to run the case by the team, and they found these different blueprints. So within these blueprints, they made certain notes that, for example, in this area over here, there are women's voices. So you have this blueprint, and for 1B, you have a woman's voice, and for 3B, they said that they could hear some female voice nearby. So that's a really good area within there to hopefully listen for that female voice. Now, the character that I currently have showing in front of you is particularly good with audio phenomena and recording them. So they may use one of these devices and place it here in that bathroom during the meeting phase, and that's how they would try to collect the different pieces of evidence. Now, something else about AVGhost is that there's also an app that will run through the game. Now, the app is going to provide a whole bunch of spooky sounds and things like that, but it's also going to have different event triggers. Now, there is a book, so you are able to play with that instead if you're not able to use the app. However, it's highly suggested, and I do also highly suggest it. Some games I don't enjoy with apps, but with this one, I think it absolutely adds so much of an element to this game, and certain things can happen. Different events can trigger without you even knowing it as you're playing the game, such as a phone ringing. And then once the phone starts ringing, you're moving around in the dark trying to find that ringing phone and see exactly what's happening. So that is something to note, is that there will be an app, and you are using this to go through the different things, such as your personal investigator lines that you're supposed to go through. At the beginning of the game, as soon as you have everything set up, you're then going to assign who has which investigator and what items you place where, because that's going to determine what types of clues they're going to get, and then you're going to need to solve all of those to be able to win the game as well. Alright, now hopefully this isn't too spooky, and I am going to turn the lights back on, but I just wanted to show you the element of how the different investigators light up the different areas. So again, I am going to turn the lights on again in just a moment before I go through what the investigation phase looks like, but once the investigation phase starts, you will initiate that on the app, and then you will also turn the lights off. So now you have your different investigators with their different flashlights, and you have a flashlight meter here with a battery, where that battery will go down turn after turn, meaning that you will need to recharge your flashlights to be able to continue investigating. Now you can see here that these two investigators have found a ghost. There is a ghost there in front of them, and in order to get rid of ghosts, you need the correct color filter to banish them. Now you can see that everyone has a color filter in front of them, so you can see that's them without it, and then this one now has a blue filter being held. So that's an element of the game that, again, I'm going to explain in a moment as I turn the lights back on, but I just wanted you to see this before we move forward. And again, you can really see how they're in different rooms. For example, the girl that we had placed up here, she is in this bathroom, so she is able to look around in this area, but for her to continue, she would have to move into this hallway here. She would have a little bit of visibility, and then she would be able to move out into this room or into the room with the other investigators. So you can see how you really have a lot of limited visibility based on the rooms that you're in, and that's the only place that you're really able to explore. Alright, now hopefully that wasn't too scary for you. The lights are back on, and now I'm going to describe the different actions that you'll be taking while you're playing around in the dark. So all the different investigators are going to have 3 different actions that they can do on their turn, and that's going to be a full round of gameplay. Now on your turn, you're going to be able to do a couple different things, and you're able to do the same action multiple times, such as moving and then moving again. So moving is going to be one of your most basic actions where you'll move around the board, but you're also going to interact with a lot of things. Now one of the first things that you're going to be able to interact with is your equipment that you set out. You set out equipment before when you had the meeting phase, so now hopefully it's collected something to hopefully give you more clues. You're also able to investigate both clues that are for your personal investigator line, and you are also able to perform a search action, which is going to be this deck over here. So there is a whole bunch of different numbers that are on these boards, which again, for spoilers, I wouldn't look too closely, but you're going to be using your different flashlights to find those different points. So for example, we do have this guy over here, and there is a blue K over here. So if he is able to illuminate that with the same color filter on his flashlight as the letter that is there, then he would be able to find that card. Now we're just going to pretend this ghost isn't here for that example so that they're able to search, but you are able to do that, and then you would search for this card. Now you see I also already went by a K, but that's a red K, so that's how you were able to find the different ones. So here it is, and this is what they're able to find in that area. This is going to be a battery, which you can use to recharge your flashlight. Now, your flashlights are so important because, again, you're playing in the dark, and you're only really able to do anything when you're able to see. So if you lose your flashlight, if it gets down to 0 battery percent, you need these different batteries to be able to charge it back up to full, which can be very, very important. If you ever do completely run out, other investigators are able to come and help you, or you are able to flee and go back to the van. But if there are any ghosts there, you're not able to flee, and you're kind of in a lot of trouble, and you have to hope that other investigators are going to be able to come to save you. Now, other things that players are going to be able to find when they are searching through this are going to be those different filter colors. So that's how you're going to be able to find these, is you're going to be picking them up from the different colors that they will spawn them for you, and just other things will happen throughout this. This one gives you a filter as well as a battery and things like that. Now, the numbers that are on here, such as over here we have 51, 36, 44, etc., those are how the different investigators are going to be going through their investigation line. Now, this is going to be something that's very narrative that is pulled through the app, and it's going to take you from clue to clue, hopefully pulling you through your story to the end, because that's one of the conditions you need to be able to win the game. Now, we talked about the flashlight and how important that is, but you also have your electrocardiogram, and that's basically how afraid you are. So at the beginning of the investigation, you've done this before, you have your friends with you, so it's pretty high. But as you start encountering different spooky things, this is going to move down on you, making you more and more fearful, and if it ever hits the bottom, you will go into shock because you're just too afraid. Now, other investigators being together will help boost this, and when investigators ghosts show up, that's how you can raise it for other players. So that's a great way to keep that up, but that is something that you're going to be managing throughout the game as well. Now, in order for the different investigators to fight off these ghosts, they need to perform a flashlight burst. Now, this is an action, and that burst requires certain filters to be able to attack these ghosts. So, for example, a witch ghost would need 2 purple filters, and you would need both of those to be able to discard. You would get rid of them because they shatter when you do the flashlight burst. So you would do that to get rid of the witch, remove her from the board, and then they're taken out. But if you don't have the right filter colors, you may have to have other people try to help you, search around, see what you can try to finagle, and what you can do to get away from these different ghosts. Now, I've talked a lot about the different actions that you're able to do, moving around, doing these flashlight bursts, investigating, searching for clues, but another thing that you're able to do is spend your turn creating a voodoo doll. So there is a voodoo doll here in the game, and you are able to use that as well, just to give you an idea of the different fun things that you're able to do. And there's also Daisy the dog. Now, Daisy the dog is going to be able to help you. You'll be able to call on her, and she will bring in different filters for you. So even if you need some and you might not have them, Daisy might be able to run in and help you, and she's a very good girl and will do so. Now, the game will end when the investigators are successful. Now, that would mean that they've resolved all of the paranormal events that have happened, such as I said, like the ringing phone and things that are triggered, but they've also all successfully completed their investigation lines. And then also on top of that, you've also collected all of the audio evidence that was indicated toward you at the beginning of the investigation. So you're trying to move around and collect basically everything that you need to be able to resolve the game. However, all players will lose if certain things happen, and one of them is going to be if everyone enters shock. If everyone's electrocardiogram is at 6, then all players will lose the game. And alternatively, all players will also lose if all investigators run out of batteries and all of their flashlights are off. So if you have no way to power the different flashlights, that's another way to lose the game. And a third way is very, very rare, but it would be if the investigation is blocked. So if you were somehow locked in a room and the different ghosts needed multiple characters to be able to take them out, things like that, there are a few very niche ways to get locked out of the game, but honestly at that point it would be the game beating you and you not being able to stop it before the ghosts got strong enough to really put you into a corner. Now, you've heard a lot about how to play AVGhost and what the actual gameplay will look like with the mechanics and how you set up, but a lot of this game is honestly just the vibe of how it feels. You're playing in the dark, you have the app going, there's these different sounds that are happening, and honestly, you are trying to record these different audio phenomena. So you are trying to trigger it, but that means you have to listen to it, and it's scary, and there are these different ghosts that you're trying to interact with and solve these different cases for the people that are being haunted. Now, if you'd like to see exactly how this game plays, I do highly suggest checking out the gameplay on the channel that will be in the future, because it will show you a lot of the actual way the game feels and a little bit of the scariness. This has been a preview of AVGhost Paranormal Investigation. I've been Professor Meg. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Code channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!